How's it going, Guardians? Shifty here, and today I'm going to be covering the final encounter for the Duality dungeon on a Warlock. A few days ago I posted my first solo flawless run of this dungeon on a Warlock, then I did breakdown videos of the first encounter and second encounter, and today I'm doing the third and final encounter. So in just a moment I will be going over my loadout for the Nightmare of Caiatl encounter. But before I do that, if you end up enjoying today's video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, so for those of you who checked out my vault encounter video, you're going to recognize my loadout. There's only going to be one minor change. However, I'm still going to go over it for those of you who haven't seen it. So for my Solar 3.0 setup, I'm going with Well of Radiance, Empowering Rift, Burst Glide, Incinerator Snap, Fusion Grenade, then I'm using the Touch of Flame and the Icarus Dash Aspects, and for my fragments I have Ember of Singeing, Ember of Torches, Ember of Ashes, and Ember of Solace. Now just like for the vault encounter, I'm going to be using Wither Horde in my kinetic slot. I have the Forbearance grenade launcher in my energy slot. Again, you can swap this out for another wave frame grenade launcher. However, I think this is the best one if you do have it. Then in my heavy slot, I'm going to be using the corrective measure machine gun, but whatever your favorite machine gun is should work just fine here. Then for my armor mods, I have Unquenchable Thirst. This buffs Forbearance, the Soul Drinker trait in particular. I also have Machine Gun Ammo Finder and Bountiful Wells to generate multiple elemental wells instead of just one. Then in my arms, I have Machine Gun Loader and Elemental Ordnance, so I generate elemental wells on grenade kills. Then I have double solar and void resistance in my chest armor, alongside the Seeking Wells mod, so my wells move to my location. Then in my leg armor, I have Machine Gun Scavenger and Well of Life, and finally in my bond, I have Classy Restoration and Explosive Well Maker. Now that we've gone over my loadout here, let's get right into the Nightmare of Caiatl encounter with commentary. Alright, so for this encounter, I'm going to throw a fusion grenade at the scions that spawn out of that left doorway right away. Then I'm going to be focusing on the Bellkeepers. So I'm going to kind of stick back here out of the way of a lot of the enemies and try to take out as many of these Bellkeepers as I can while I'm here. As you can see, I'm using my Empowering Rift to be able to get my fusion grenades back, which are going to help me clear out the Bellkeepers that much more quickly. Now there's two Bellkeepers in the middle that stand pretty close to that bell. I wouldn't use anything that makes them explode, because it might accidentally ring the bell. So I try to stick them with Wither Horde, but pretty much whatever works as long as you're not ringing that bell there. So a little bit later in the video, I will be using a bit of a glitch that makes it so enemies don't spawn in this area. So before I head into the Nightmare Realm here, I did check to see which flags I needed. I know for a fact I need Sun, and I go ahead and try to take out as many Bellkeepers as I can right away. I also use a map for this encounter so I know which of the Scions in Nightmare Realm to take out. If you don't know where each of the Scions are located, I would definitely have a map pulled up here. But having a map pulled up allows you to quickly take out the two Scions that you need to take out as soon as you get into the Nightmare Realm. As you can see, I had both of them down immediately. I have all the Bellkeepers down, and I still have 23 seconds to go as I'm heading over to the bell to ring it. So as I get out of here, I'm going to toss a fusion grenade right at the Scions that spawn to my left. That's going to glitch out the door if I did it correctly. If you stick an enemy with the fusion grenade as they're exiting the door and the door is still open, you're going to glitch the door so enemies no longer spawn out of it. So there are two doors in this encounter that spawn enemies. That one should now be disabled. So after you dunk the second standard for this encounter, after you have all of them, you're going to want to check to see what your next two standards are. And so see, I tossed another fusion grenade up there as the Scions were spawning. That may very well have glitched this door. As you could kind of see there, it was stuck open. That means no more enemies are going to spawn out of it anymore. So I now have both doors in this regular realm glitched with fusion grenades. I stuck an enemy that was just coming out of the door while it was still open, and that causes it to disable the door. So I'm going to head around and I'm going to dunk this chalice as I take out the last enemy here. Now there should be no more adds in the regular realm from here on out. So let's dunk this chalice standard. We're going to check the next two. We have axes and we have sun. So then I would check my map to see which side I should go in on and be prepared to take the corresponding scions out. So I usually toss stuff right away to take out the bell keepers and some of the war beasts. So we can see that I'm going to kill that standard bearer as well as the one right over there. Those are the two that I need based on the map and the two standards that I saw that I needed from the regular realm. I also tossed Witherhoard on the ground just so I can avoid some of the war beasts for the most part. Between fusion grenades and the machine gun, it's pretty simple to take out the bell keepers as long as you get a decent angle. Again, I have all the bell keepers down, I have all the scions down that I need, and I can head back to the bell now. One thing to note is you should not kill any of the scions that you don't need. That will reduce your time in the Nightmare Realm, which is not ideal, especially as a solo player. As you can see, no enemies are going to spawn here. I'm free to dunk. Now, if you are concerned whether or not I've done this without the cheese, my very first solo completion was without using this cheese. Alright, so now that we're going into our first damage phase, we dunked all 4 standards. I tried to take out as many bell keepers as I can, and then quickly peek to see where Caiatl's going. As you can see, she's heading over to this left side. I'm going to ring the bell as she gets close. This is going to stun her. I almost got booped off the map there, but I decided, you know, I'm going to use my Icarus Dash to save myself, which is why I have Icarus Dash on for the most part. And I almost died right there, which is not ideal. This damage phase is probably not going to go very well. Alright, Caiatl came to the middle bell, so I decided to go ahead and stun her by shooting the bell. Alright, let's take out this final bell keeper. And we have the final bell for damage. This is where I'm going to basically use my Well of Radiance. Using the Well of Radiance will actually ring the bell, just like that, which is perfect. Because you can immediately hop into spamming your fusion grenades. So I already had a Witherhoard on Caiatl, and I used my Well of Radiance to stun her by ringing the bell. Now this damage phase was not great. I kind of fumbled the first 2 bells, but we can always kind of reorient ourselves heading into the next damage phase. So we're just going to kind of wait here to get teleported back, and then we're going to repeat the process. However, we no longer have to worry about adds here. Again, on my first solo completion, I actually did this without the cheese, so it very well is possible. It just makes it so you have to clear some adds out between damage phases anytime you come out of the Nightmare Realm. So if you don't want to do the cheese, you don't have to. You can simply stand in here and just clear some adds before you decide to head for the standards in the Nightmare Realm. And you can actually ignore the enemies for the most part. If you just want to look at what standards you need and head into the Nightmare Realm after the Bell Keepers are dead, you can do that as well. So now that I know what standards I need, I'm going to head back into the Nightmare Realm. I'm going to try to get some of the Bell Keepers in the middle with a fusion grenade. Take out my 2 standard bearers as soon as I can. Might as well go for the 2 exposed Bell Keepers over there. I have my 2 standard bearers down. So again, 2 standard bearers are down. All the Bell Keepers are down, so I just have to grab the standards and get back to the regular realm. So overall, I think the cheese isn't super helpful because all it does is save you a bit of ad clear in the normal realm, which saves you a bit of time. I think the real challenge is when you're in the nightmare realm. As you can see, we need War Beast and Sun, so I'm going to head in on this side and then prepare to get those 2 standards. So with this boss fight, it gets pretty repetitive, but I don't think that's a bad thing because a lot of the times you're wanting to focus on the mechanics and dealing with the abundance of enemies for the most part. Overall, once you get used to the mechanics, I don't think the mechanics are that difficult. I think it's dealing with the number of ads that there are, especially in the Nightmare Realm on a time constraint. It can get pretty tricky. And some of the physics in this dungeon is a little bit wonky, especially with the Incendior packs that lay on the ground. The stomps can immediately kill you from the boss if they blow up one of those Incendior packs. Alright, so I've placed all 4 standards. What I'm going to do, I'm going to shoot the chains. That will allow us to head into our second damage phase this time around. So I try to keep my machine gun pulled out. I use fusion grenades in my machine gun to clear out as many of these Incendiors as I can. Looks like Caiatl's going to the right here, using Icarus Dash to kind of help myself get over there. So I baited the stomp. I went ahead and stunned Caiatl. I'm kind of focusing on trying to get those Incendiors on the opposite side down so that they're down when I'm ready to ring that bell. Let's take out some of the snipers as well. Let's see where Caiatl's going for the next bell. Looks like she's going straight across. I'm going to head over there and be prepared for that. Alright. So I'm going to stun, place an Empowering Rift, place Wither Horde, and now I'm going to spam fusions. This should be a much better damage phase because I was actually able to do spam fusions on 2 of the bells. I used the first bell to kind of focus on the Incendiors and other enemies. Let's blow that pack up and head to the middle bell there. Alright. I baited the stomp. I used my well to stun, and now let's just spam. You can also do a little bit of extra damage if you kind of bait her stomps after you've lost the buff. In this case, she didn't really stay around, and I couldn't really bait too many stomps there. You do want to be careful though, because you want to be standing by the bells as you're ringing them to get the buff, otherwise you're going to do basically no damage to Caiatl. So anytime you ring a bell to stun her, you have to be standing near it. That's just going to give you about 10 times the damage on her than if you didn't have the buff that you get from standing near the bell. So I highly advise doing that. As you can see, that was a much better damage phase than the first one. I easily got over 1/4 of her health from that damage phase alone. In the first damage phase, I didn't even get her 1/4 of the way down. Now that all the bell keepers are down, I'm going to head back into the Nightmare Realm and grab the 2 standards. Again, the process is going to be the same. I'm going to teleport, go for the bell keepers in the middle, take out my standard bearers. Both standard bearers are down. Try to get a Wither Horde over near the bell keepers on the opposite side of the arena. That might take them both out. And perfect, a bell is ready to be rung. So now I just got to grab the standards and we can head on out of here. So again, if you're not used to this Nightmare Realm, you should definitely have a map pulled up so you know exactly what scions to kill, perhaps before you even head in. Make sure that you orient where those scions are based on what bell you're going in on. So for my next 2 standards, I need Chalice and I need Dogs. So what I tell myself, I look at my map. If I don't know the arena, I find out where those scions are in relation to this bell, and then I make sure I know where I'm looking. That's why I shoot them right away, so I don't have to memorize them too long. And so I go and try to shoot the ones that I'm looking for. So if you figured them out ahead of time, you should easily be able to find that one and that one. And also, if I ever need healing, I try to spam my Rift. Classy Restoration is always useful. Grab that heavy ammo, grab the 2 standards, and then we should be able to head on out again. Kind of putting some cover between me and Caiatl so that I can heal a little bit without having to use my Rift or anything like that, which I didn't even have up. Alright, placing 1 more standard will allow us to head into our 3rd damage phase. Let's break the chain here. Let's deal with these Incendiors. Alright. Where is Caiatl going? Right down the middle. Not a bad start. Stunned. And I'm going to try to get fusion grenades on these guys over here. Doing so will also give me my empowering rift back for the 2nd bell. I need to back away so I don't die. And I wasted my rift to heal, unfortunately. Should still work out fine. Let's take out one of these snipers so I don't have to worry about that. Stun Caiatl again. And unfortunately, this bell isn't going to be very good. I don't have an empowering rift or anything like that. I'm going to just take these scions out instead of trying to use my machine gun, which isn't going to do much damage anyway. And instead focus on being prepared for this 3rd bell. I really should not have tried using my empowering rift to heal on that last one, but this one should work out just fine. And again, this damage phase wasn't incredibly impressive, but I almost approached another quarter of Caiatl's health. Hopefully, in the next one, I have a much better damage phase and we can just finish it off in a 4 phase. But here's one of those instances where we can get a little bit more damage by baiting the stomps before she leaves. We didn't have the buff anymore, so we were doing significantly less damage, but that little bit does add up and gets us that much closer to finishing her off in the next damage phase. Now, we're going to just head back, repeat the process 1 more time to get to our 4th and hopefully final damage phase. As you can see, I'm doing body shots on the Incendiors there because I didn't want them to explode and ring that bell. I had enough mistakes in the first encounter by accidentally ringing bells. I was trying to avoid them as much as possible for this encounter. So we need sun and axes. I usually pick bells that are closer to where I need to be, and then I orient where I need to look. So we have both standard bearers down. I just need to take out the bell keepers and we need to get those 2 standards. The little bit of healing that you do get from Well of Life is actually pretty helpful. A lot more helpful than people may realize. So that's why I have that mod equipped. Alright, both standards. We can head back to the regular realm and place those. Then we just have 2 more to grab and we're on to our 4th damage phase. So we need Sun and Chalice. We're going to head to the appropriate bell. We obviously can't use the same bell from last time, so we have to either choose the middle or the left one. Again, I try to choose ones that are closer to the standard bearers that I need. Didn't quite get it with that first forbearance shot, I guess. Alright, heading in. Hopefully we can get our last 2 standards here. These ones are diagonal. And we got both standard bearers down. Just have to finish off the bell keepers. That should easily take out both of them. And we can grab our standards and get out of here and head to our 4th damage phase. So what I like about this run is that it does demonstrate that you can pretty much get a 4-phase even if you don't have ideal damage phases. In this one I kind of botched 2 of the damage phases a little bit, but we're still probably going to get that 4-phase boss fight. Alright, we can head on into that 4th damage phase. Let's see if we can finish it off. Get ready for the bell keepers right away. And where is Caiatl going? I think she's going off to the right. Place my Empowering Rift. Stun. Let's get some damage on her. I'm going to throw a couple fusions over there. Let's see if I can get them. I really want to get that Empowering Rift for my 2nd bell. And in order to do that, I needed to kill one of those with a grenade, which I did easily. Let's take out some of these snipers and have 2 good bells left. So I stunned Empowering Rift. Now we're going to fusion spam. And this should leave us in a pretty good position for the final bell. Take out the last Scion up there. Got a Wither Horde shot already on Caiatl. Broke the bell with my Well of Radiance. And now we're just going to spam the fusions. Got 4 seconds left. And here we go. There it is. Caiatl is down. That was a 4-phase fight. And it wasn't too bad considering there were 2 botched damage phases there. Either way, that is it for my last video covering my solo flawless run of the Duality dungeon. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you found it helpful whether you're heading in solo flawless yourself or in with a team. If you did end up enjoying it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I just want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.